Good afternoon, sleepyhead. Are you gonna be able to
Hi.
wake up for this
I
podcast?
hope so. I'm
Why have
are
you
you
been so
yawning?
tired?
I don't know. You said something about the moon, so I'm just gonna blame it on the moon. Full moon sucking my energy out.
I love Chip and I were supposed to have a meeting yesterday I'm sorry, today, and he texted me yesterday and was like, "Okay, I'll see you on the meeting at whatever time." And I thought, "Wait, huh?" I thought for a second I had gotten my days wrong, but you had gotten your days wrong, and we were talking
Right.
about you missed a doctor's appointment too, you're just off, and you go, "Oh, it's just Mercury retrograde." And I didn't have the heart to tell you it's over.
So the retrograde's retrograding.
Yeah,
It's a
it's just
double
no, I think you're
retrograde.
just chipping. Like,
Yeah,
I
it's just me.
there's really nothing you can blame right now. I did give you the moon. There's a full moon this week,
Yeah.
so
Well, I feel like because yesterday my day started with missing a doctor's appointment in the morning, and it's always an indicator. Like
yeah.
those days are like you should just crawl right back into like f everything because it's when your day starts off shitty, it's a domino effect. At least that's my experience generally.
Yeah, well, especially if it starts with being late or forgetting an appointment, like, something like that kinda seems like it just throws everything off for
And I
some
knew I
reason.
should have called. I didn't call to be like I'm running late. I thought I would just show up late, and they were like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, well, we're gonna have to reschedule for July." I was like, "What?" And
That's the worst.
I ended up getting in today because I had a cancellation. So I got a good bill of health.
Well, good. Well, I hope you can
Yes.
wake up. He's been yawning since we got on this Zoom call, so
Well, it's
we
also
shall
like the
see.
weather's weird, so the clouds just rolled in. So my body's like, oh, it's sleepy time.
Nap time, but
Yeah.
it's not, it's
Yeah. It's
not.
not.
We're actually I like our topic today, I think it's kinda fun, but I was telling you, I talked to Lauren Sisler, who's a sideline reporter for ESPN. She does college football, so you know I'm always
Yeah.
gonna be so excited to talk to people like that. It was combining, like, both of the best of both worlds to me, 'cause we were talked about she wrote a book called Shatterproof: How I Overcame the Shame of Losing My Parents to Opioid Addiction. She lost both her parents in one day. Could you imagine? I
That's
mean,
wild.
wild and so heartbreaking and devastating, obviously very traumatic, and so we were talking about that experience, and then at the end, we got to talk about college football a little bit, so it was kind of my dream come true conversation.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'll run to what list.
Yeah, you're like, sports
Yeah.
ball? What?" Anyway, Lauren has a really cool story because now sh you know, I love people who are turning their pain into purpose, and the fact that she's been able to find the resilience and even just find her voice about this hard of a topic. You know, it was so traumatic in her life. And she's now doing public speaking. She's written this book and she's really trying to help other people find, tell, and love their stories. And that was so inspiring to me because I do find when I look back at my life, when traumatic things have happened, it does shut you down a lot. And I think you can often go into kind of like this freeze mode. I start being stop being able to speak even about the topic for a while, and there just feels like there's just, like, this heaviness to it, and it's maybe sometimes, I think, a human nature thing to kinda just wanna forget that happened, push it away, you know,
Cover it up. Yeah.
cover it up, and you and I were talking and we're thinking about those moments in our lives now, and I think this is probably because we've both done a lot of work and, like, the more you grow out of it or time passes and things get better again in your life, the easier it is to look back at those traumatic events and go, wow, I would never be able to be where I am now without that. And so you can almost have
Right.
like a gratitude for it. So it does shift a little bit. I know you said that's happened a lot in your life, right?
Yeah. And I mean, even thinking about her story too, it's like, if I'm trying to put myself in her shoes
Mm,
and I don't like the me right now, like with that idea, is like, you don't recover from that.
right.
But I feel like the only way to recover it is to acknowledge it and probably keep them alive through talking about it because, obviously nothing is going to bring them back. But hearing that she's not alone in that trauma and that loss and sharing that with other people is probably the only way, like clear way out of the like absolute grief that you would find yourself in.
I think you're
Um,
absolutely
and I
right.
think it takes a really strong person to be able to pick themselves up and do that. I mean, I like, because, I would say the cynic in me would be like, well, now you've made a career off of that, but like, I think it's really the only path, to
Yeah. It's like
healing is to like
survival.
sort of own it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think about I've, you know, my humor, I think, is something that has carried me through most of the hard times. And the older I've gotten, the more I can recognize my strength. Whereas
Mm,
before, humor was my armor. And now humor is, I use my humor to, is more of my like acknowledgement of something,
okay. What do
which
you
is
mean,
different,
though? I don't know if I
like,
understand.
when like, I guess when I was younger, like, I'll just say, like, I've always struggled with my weight, so we'll do that. Like,
Okay.
I would make like the fat kid jokes about myself. And it was really just like a piece of armor because if I was saying it first, then no one could
Mm,
hurt me by saying it about me.
right.
But now it's like I my body, like, I'm not ashamed of my body anymore. Like, it is what it is. It's just a vessel that I'm in, and it is the way it is because of choices that I've made, you know? So it's like I can't blame anyone but myself. So, and right now I'm doing the work to change it, and
Right.
I'm seeing that, action actually has positive consequences. So now I feel like if I was making that joke, it wouldn't necessarily be armor, it would be acknowledgement of I am who I am,
Mm,
and being okay with it, and I have the license to do it because it reflects me, like,
yeah.
it's not just like a fat joke, a
Yeah.
skinny person telling a fat joke. So, um, yeah, so it's just, I think it's just a way to, like, frame how your sort of existence and your stories, have, gotten you through things.
Sure.
And every single thing that's ever happened to me or things that I've done has gotten me exactly where I am today.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I
you know,
do I
good,
think
the bad, the ugly.
right, like, I do think as a society, we maybe haven't done the best job of talking about what life actually is, and all of us are
Mhm.
on an individual journey. I talk about this all the time. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone is going to have hard times. Like, there is not one person who gets off the hook from going through stuff, like, that is just going to happen because that's why we're all here is to
Right.
learn through these hardships. Nobody learns through easy time. You just
No.
don't. And so whatever your path is, there's going to be something, and, I don't know that our society has really talked enough about that, so it becomes normalized that times are not always gonna be good, and what you do during the hard times is actually what ends up being who you become. It's like who
Yeah,
you
your
become, it's where
superpower
you
you
find your
discover.
strength, it's your superpower, and yeah, it doesn't always have to be a negative. I am an Enneagram 4, we've talked about that. I'm in astrology, like, I have a lot of water, and so I'm very, I can get really deep into feels, and so I don't know that I always find humor in
Right.
any sort of hardship. Like, that is why I feel really grateful for my friends and support system because I do have a lot of people around me who, when I'm going through something hard, will kind of not make light of it, but almost in a way where there's a joke made at some point in the process that actually pulls me out of some of the deeper feelings. Like, our friend is really good at this,
Yeah,
like,
she's really good at
she's
it.
very grounded in hard moments, and she can listen and have a lot of empathy for you, and then there's
But she
a
also doesn't
joke.
let people off the hook really easily either
No, for
because she
sure, it's not
she's
like
really
that,
good
but
about, like, making you recognize the part that you play in situations.
sure.
Whereas when we're I know when I'm going through a traumatic thing, I want everyone around me to be, like, recognizing that it's happening to me.
Oh, yeah,
That I think
but I
it's
think
really
that's important
important to, like, because
too.
and I've learned that from her is to, like, kinda have to look in the mirror and be like, "What role did I play in this?"
Of course, always, but yeah, all of that, is really important to me.
Yeah.
I also think it's really important to feel the hard feelings, so
Mhm.
I never like, what you were talking about, I think is a great example of when people use humor to a detriment, when you're trying to, like, mask the feelings or cover them up or not go look at yourself, and you're just gonna
Right.
make jokes about it or whatever. I don't think that's productive.
No, I don't think it's healthy.
But for a person like me who can get stuck in the low emotions because 'cause I'm very comfortable there, it is good to have people who can sometimes make jokes. Like, I was actually thinking of this example, and it's kind of the perfect narrative, but I've talked about this before. I was engaged, God, this was a decade ago now, which is crazy, but I was engaged a long time ago when I was 30, and I found out 3 months before my wedding that he had cheated, and so I had moved in with him, I had sold all my stuff, we had basically all of our wedding planned, and then I found out about that, and I was like, "No matter what happens, if we can work through this or not, like, I can't marry this man in 3
Yeah.
months, like, I gotta figure some shit out." And that was probably one of the darkest times of my life. I mean, you knew me kind of then, not as well
Yeah.
now as we do now, but I was very, very dark, and it was very, very hard because it also unlocked some behavior patterns in me. It was the first time I started doing, like, 12-step work for codependency and things that, like, I had picked up in my childhood, seeing how that had manifested in my own behaviors later in life and in my relationships. That was the start of that journey for me. So, to say it was a heavy time is like, like, just to say the least, it was a heavy
Yeah.
time. And I wouldn't really there wasn't a lot of laughter probably. Like, I just was, pretty serious all the time, and I remember being at one of my friend's houses, and it's her now ex-husband, but we were just, in the trenches like I go, and I'm just crying or whatever I was, and she goes, "You're never gonna believe what my husband's first response was." And my ex, the one that had cheated, had gotten a tattoo, like, a couple, I don't know, months before we had called everything off, and it looked like me. It was like this gypsy girl that looked like me, and, it had a banner on it that was, like, kinda signifying my name, so it was very much like a tattoo of me on his arm.
Oh my
And
god.
and she literally said she told her husband that I called the wedding off, and the only thing he ever said about the whole situation was, "Shouldn't have got that tattoo." So we still say that, like, to
That's
this
amazing.
day.
I didn't know this. I'm hearing this story
Did
for
you
the
not
first
know
time
this
too.
story?
No.
I literally brought it up to my friend last weekend because we had a situation where another friend of ours actually just canceled a wedding and they got matching tattoos. I'm telling you, don't get tattoos, and like matching tattoos in relationships never seem like a good idea. I didn't
I've
happen
got
to
a
get
matching
one.
tattoo.
Oh no, we'll see.
Yeah,
Did
and I'm not with that person any longer.
shouldn't have got
And we
that
got it
tattoo.
early too. Like we started dating in October and we got in February for Valentine's Day.
Well, that's the Hallmark movie.
I mean that
An edgy one,
so
maybe.
me to be like get matching tattoos like
Well,
right out of the
you'll get a
gate.
tattoo at the drop of a hat, I
I will.
feel. If you're, like, at a party that is giving tattoos and you're like, "Yeah, I'll get one.
Sure,
It's gonna
it's
be on my
great.
body forever, but no big
Yeah,
deal. I
I
won't put
love
any
it.
more
I
thought
love
into
it.
it." Anyway, do you have any funny stories like that, or is that just
I
a me thing?
mean, no, I don't have anything that's that specific, but like I definitely think, like I think about being growing up. I mean, I think the thing that has given me the most sort of resilience and defined me the most is my sexuality.
Sure.
And it's not like I haven't talked about it on here, but I grew up in a really small town called Bird's Nest, Virginia. I didn't see any examples of, you know, gay people around me, although there was like a distant cousin of my mom's, and he was like a very stereotypical gay, like
Yeah.
and no one really talked about it, but my mom would use words like special friend or whatever. And it was just not as um accepted.
Oh,
And
sure.
it was very and he just was very stereotypical. So it was like I didn't want anyone to ever equate me to that. So
Yeah.
I worked really hard to not match him. But, you know, I growing up in a really small town, I had no equals. There was no one on television that looked like anyone that I could relate to. Every message that I was getting was that it was wrong, but it was just something that I had a feeling of.
Mm.
And I had to hide it. And so, but I was also like, I look back and like my sister used to call me a homo all the time, and like, she was like sh- just doing stuff that like a big sister would do, and um then when I came to her, she didn't believe me.
Why?
I was like 20, I was probably around 24, 25. And she was the first person in my family that I told. And she was like, no, you're not. And I was like, literally, you are the person that has called me a homo my whole life. And I'm telling you that I am, and you're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
You thought I was kidding.
Wow.
And so, I mean, on one hand, that's pretty awesome. It meant that I was doing a really good job of hiding it because she's the person on earth that has known me literally the closest and
Yeah.
longest and most.
Yeah.
And so, there was a little bit of like, story and her not believing it. But of course she was incredibly accepting and whatever.
Y'all
Yeah,
joke
and
about that now that she didn't
oh
believe
yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, because before I told her best friend Pam, and Pam was like, "Tell me something I don't think they're going." You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
was one of those things where it's like, how are they not talking about that?
I mean, maybe they were more, and it was just the fact that you said it out loud was what took her off guard.
Yeah.
Because with your uncle, was it your uncle you said that yeah,
Well, it
y'all
was like
just
a
never talked about it?
distant cousin. Yeah.
Okay, a distant cousin. Yeah, like, it
Yeah.
wasn't ever addressed.
Right.
So the fact that you're now changing the playing field and you're like, "No, I'm gonna say it."
Right. Right.
Maybe that was what her reaction
I mean,
was.
it definitely threw her off, and then my family has always been great about it, and I mean, it's not something we talk about a lot, but like
Mm.
they've always been accepting of me since I've told them, and they've met boyfriends of mine and stayed at my house when I was living with a boyfriend, and um, does remind me of a funny story. I when my parents stayed
I
here,
love that you
they-
just tickled yourself so much about this. He's
when my,
literally just giggling to
I'm
himself. None of
dying
us, me or the
when
listeners, know why you're laughing.
when my parents stayed here. It was before I went home for Christmas. I think they came here for Thanksgiving or something.
Okay.
And when I went home for Christmas, my aunt was she ran the
Aunt.
bank. My aunt ran the local bank, and I had to go into the bank for something. And I was chatting with her, and she said, "Your mom told me that she had a really nice visit, and she just adores your roommate."
Oh,
And I was like,
no.
"It's having them." And so I went home, and I was like, "Mom, you know damn well Aunt Machi doesn't think that Aaron is my roommate."
Yeah.
And she was like, "I mean, well, he technically is." And I was like, "How many people share a bed with their roommate?" You know,
True.
I'm like,
In
"Mom,
a
like,
house
I
with
go, the
more
only one who
bedrooms.
looks like a dummy in this situation is you. Like,
Yeah.
just say the words." And she's like, "Well, I don't know what you want me to say." And I was like, "Well, definitely don't call him my roommate."
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of like a sitcom episode, I
A
feel, where the parents are
100%.
from the South. It's a place they don't talk about this. And then that would be a scene for sure where
Yes.
it's the roommate.
Yes.
And she's like, well, it's not a lie. I mean, it's not a lie.
Right. Right. I mean,
Oh,
and it's truly not a lie, but it was funny because like thinking about how it plays into like how does something like that make you more resilient? Like it forced me to like talk to my mom about that situation.
mm.
So in a humorous way, like
Yeah.
a roommate? Are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's I guess there's a little funny one for you.
The other one I was thinking about, I do think this is what I was, I guess, trying to get to with maybe my friends being able to say these things. You know, when you get out of the emotional part, like I will go deep into the emotions. I will feel them all. I'll go as dark as I need to go. And then I do come out of it. Like it's, eventually or whatever. And these kind of things help me kind of have perspective maybe and get out of it a little quicker. But they are the things sometimes that I look back and can laugh almost about.
Mhm.
It's kind of crazy. Like a lot of breakups, I think this is a common thing where you look back and you're like, oh my God, why was I losing my shit over that guy? Like, he's a loser. What was
The loop,
I
right?
doing? Like, the fact that I was so upset that that relationship ended, I can look back at many relationships now and go, what was I thinking? And just appreciate the fact, though, that they were these pieces of my journey and I know there's no way that I could have the kind of relationship that I have now if I hadn't gone to such low places in
Right.
those relationships or they hadn't been so explosive or toxic or whatever you want to call them, dysfunctional. I had to meet all of those parts of myself before I could meet this version of myself, the one that was like not going to tolerate certain things, that could set better boundaries, who could find her voice. And so they all serve their purpose. And like,
Well, also, you don't know what you're not going to tolerate until you're forced to either tolerate it or not,
right.
especially when you're younger in relationships. Like, I always wonder about these people that marry their high school sweetheart and have like a perfect little life. I'm like, how did they get it right? Because I
Well, it's
feel
not
like
about getting it right, though. That was
well,
just that's what their soul signed up for.
yeah,
That was the
I guess you're
journey.
right. Like,
Because I
it's just,
had an
but
amazing
I
high school
feel bad
boyfriend,
for them. I feel bad for them because I feel
but you
like this is
shouldn't.
something that like they missed out on.
I see what you're saying, but if that was true for them, then they wouldn't have lived out that journey. Like, that was what
Right.
they wanted. That's what their soul wanted. that is what works for them. They're happy in that. You might not have been. And
Right.
I had the most amazing high school boyfriend, and we dated through college and after too. So I dated him for 9 years. So obviously everyone thought we were gonna get married,
Right.
but I had so much stuff that I needed to work through. Like, I can look back at it now and say that. But at the time I was like, "Oh, we just grew apart and we grew in different directions." And we did. Obviously, we were kids when we started dating. But also, he was an amazing boyfriend. And so when I
Right.
look at it now, I'm like, what was happening with me that I wouldn't just I couldn't
Lock
appreciate
this
that.
down. Yeah.
Yeah. But what you said is so true. I didn't realize how good I had it necessarily because I didn't have the bad yet.
Right. Right. Yeah. I
And
mean, it's you need the perspective.
yes, and also, again, I would never change any of my journey at this point. Well, I told you there's the one piece that I still am struggling to work through, but yeah, but I think it's a journey, and it's like, I know it's all been here, one, for what I believe now in, these karmic circumstances that I had signed up for this before I even came here, and the specific people who have led to my biggest, what I deem crash and burns, were just doing their job in my life to help my soul evolve, and that always helps me have a way more peaceful mentality about it. Um, and also, I can look back at certain situations, like when I talk about when I was on reality TV, I was in a dysfunctional relationship. I had a bad work situation happening with one of my clients that was also very dysfunctional. And then that stuff happened on TV, and so my nervous system was, massively overloaded. Oh, and we went into COVID. So it was
Oh,
like
and there's that.
and there was this big, massive, global pandemic, and so my nervous system where I lost all my work. So my nervous system was, so overloaded that any additional thing just took me out, and the public humiliation piece of, being misrepresented and talked about in ways that, stuff that I didn't ever do, it was crippling to me, and it's something I still struggle with because I still am facing some of the repercussions of that. Being misrepresented publicly is one of the I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had,
Because all the
and
control's out of your hands.
yeah, because no matter what I say, there's some people who will always believe me to be a different person than I am, even though they don't know me. And that's a very hard thing to go through. But I was thinking about I had a conversation, I think about a month ago. We talked about this with Brittany Piper. She was a somatic therapist. And that was one of the things she told me is that if you're in a situation where you can't get your nervous system needs met properly and something traumatic happens, it's even more traumatic. Whereas, in another scenario, you might have been able to work through this in a better way. If it happens where your nervous system is not able to function properly, it's going to be deeply impactful. And that's what I would say about that now. But I do have a funny one on that a friend of mine did that where it's just I think what I'm trying to say with all of the humor stuff is I think it's important to feel the feelings. And I do think it's important to have people who love and support you who can help you find the lightness in it too. And one of our good friends wrote me the sweetest note when all of that was going on. And he literally broke down 15 qualities about me that he loved. It was so nice. It made me cry, obviously.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, it was just so sweet. And it showed up in my mail out of the blue. And it was just note after note of all these things that I had brought to his life that, he was just trying to tell me, you're a great friend. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. But the last one was, it's all these positive things, and the last one was your effortless ability to wreck homes. Because, I was accused of having an affair I didn't have and
That's
I was called a
amazing.
home wrecker, on Good Morning America. It was wild. But he was like, "Your effortless ability," obviously, because I didn't do it. So it was like, "You can just wreck a home without even trying, girl. Look
Not
at
even
you."
trying, girl. You're talented.
Yeah, so we still talk about that one too. He wanted me to dress up as, a construction site worker that wrecked homes for Halloween. I was like, "I can't." I
You're like on what's that show where they redo homes?
Oh, home
Home makeover.
makeover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, can I just be the person that comes and does demo?
Right. I mean, those kind of things though, those actually are the things that keep me going when things feel like they're just never gonna get better or They get you to the place of, okay, this is just a moment. This is a moment in my life. This too shall pass. Not to sidestep feelings or do any of that. I don't have to worry about that, thankfully. So thank God for the people in my life who can help lighten the load a little bit and just find some humor in
Yeah.
some of the darkest times. And it's stuff that I still hold on to. Obviously, this is like
Yeah.
many years later, and those statements were the first thing that popped into my mind whenever we decided to do this topic.
I'm racking my brain of who sent you that. I think I might know.
You know. Anyway,
That's
okay. Well, shoot, now this is gonna be on YouTube. I just mouthed it to him,
we
and
can
that
cut
doesn't
that.
really
We
work
can
because
cut
we have
that.
YouTube
Can we
now.
cut that?
I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so should we tell the listeners what we did?
No.
Okay. You're gonna have to up your energy for this part.
I will.
Wake up. You should have had a coffee,
I'm ready. I
espresso.
might have to change my glasses because I can't really read my computer with these. Get some
Okay.
like cute on camera glasses.
Oh, okay. So he's putting on his readers because this is how we
Or
are
else
now.
I can read, but I've got to like do this like lift my head up thing.
That actually makes you look older, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah, it's like old people stuff.
Okay, so I told Chip that I was like, wouldn't it be so funny if we wrote like movie trailers about our lives with a humorous tone to it, but about the hardships of our lives? And of course, when I say this to a theater major, he's like,
And
yes, but
it's
like, this is going to take
today.
me weeks.
I was like, there is not enough time.
What I didn't mean it that way, but he wanted to go into this in depth. I'm like, what are you going to write a novel about this? Like, if you would have, I feel like yours would have been pages and pages.
I
It would
would
have
have
been
been
so
so many
clever.
edits and so many edits necessary.
Oh, for sure. And that wasn't, no, that was too much. So I was
Like
like,
it's
no, I mean, like, put it into Chat GPT, my best friend, my therapist. I
your
talk to Chat
girlfriend.
all the time about everything. And I thought it would be really funny to see what Chat said about writing a movie trailer of our lives. So we did it for both of us. And I'm going to read yours, I think. And then
Okay.
you should read mine. And we
Yeah.
should do dramatic voices. Do people know about your dramatic readings that you used to
I
do?
mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about it on here.
Chip used to like with people who would take themselves too seriously on his he would this is like back in the beginning days of being an influencer. He would do it to me. No, you've done one of mine on
I
the
probably
podcast. This
have.
was years, many years
Yeah.
ago. But he would do these dramatic readings of the captions, which was so funny to us. Like you would take something because someone was trying to be really serious
Really
and
serious. Yeah.
yeah,
I was
but
like,
not
oh,
it
no.
wasn't always you weren't doing it about stuff that was like heartfelt or them coming from like such a vulnerable place. It was when people, including myself, were taking ourselves too
Too
seriously.
seriously. Yeah.
So then we would have dramatic readings. Our group of friends would like be together and Chip would just read us Instagram captions
Well,
in a
and
dramatic voice.
there was one, I'm not going to say who it is, but there was one person that was like, does it a lot. And so
Yeah.
I was often reading their stuff. I mean, there was one, I used to have one of their captions memorized that I could just recite.
I don't know how because they would paragraphs.
I know they were so long, but one of them I had pretty well memorized.
It's like a monologue in theater.
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to go first or would you like me to go first? We're going to read them in very dramatic tones. This is if we had a movie trailer about our lives.
You can go first.
Okay. So this is Chips, y'all. And chat said, first of all, just to set the tone, maybe I'll see if my producer can add in this music because I think it's pretty funny.
Uh-oh.
It says suspenseful, slightly dramatic music starts. Maybe add a wind sound or a thunderclap for flair, which
That'll
obviously we
certainly
would
be
with
good.
you for sure. You need a thunderclap.
Yeah.
So, okay, imagine it in a world where good hair and commitment issues collide. He was just a boy standing in front of the dating pool, wondering why everyone was either emotionally unavailable or trying to get married on the second date. By day, he was charming, quick witted, and always down for a spicy margarita. By night, he was deep in his feelings, analyzing text messages like they were ancient scrolls. They said he was too picky. They said he should settle down. But he knew he was just waiting for someone who liked memes, deep talks, and didn't mind a man who casually cries at Super Bowl commercials.
Nailed it.
This fall, get ready for eye rolls, plot twist, and emotional growth, served with a side of sarcasm and skincare. Starring Chip as the main character in his own damn life. It says the ending is Velvet's Edge, the podcast where therapy meets group chat. I was like, okay, chat.
I mean,
Shots fired.
crazy. Like, the only thing that it got wrong about me was the spicy margs. Like, I don't drink those,
Like, you're just a
but I'm
tequila.
always
Okay,
down
but
for
it's
a
like a
cocktail.
tequila
Yeah,
soda.
yeah, it's a
So I was
tequila
like, you're
soda. I mean, it
pretty
almost,
close.
yeah. I mean, but everyone I'm with is ordering spicy margs,
Right. The
or Dirty
fact that
Martini.
chat could nail that is so
It's
well.
crazy. Well, get ready for
Oh,
yours.
Jesus. Okay.
This one just says dramatic movie trailer voiceover music playing, whatever that means.
Okay.
In a world where Southern charm meets emotional chaos. One girl dared to wear her heart on her sleeve, and sometimes a full face of glam to cover the tears. From the outside, it looked like she had it all: the career, the connections, the contour. But inside, she was navigating friendship betrayal, public scandal, spiritual awakenings, and the occasional breakdown in the Whole Foods parking lot. They thought she was just a makeup artist, but really, she was a phoenix in false lashes, rising from the ashes of heartbreak, holding a green juice in one hand and a journal in the other. This summer, get ready for tears, laughter, self reinvention, and one very questionable situationship, starring Kelly Henderson as herself, and a rotating cast of exes, internet trolls, and unexpected angels disguised as Pilates instructors. Coming soon to a podcast near you, Velvet's Edge, the movie, based on mostly true events.
Mostly. Wait, what's the line about the false lashes? So good how
Says
they
she
come.
was a phoenix in false ashes, rising from the ashes of heartbreak, holding a green juice in one hand and
Oh
a
my
journal in
God.
the other.
I'm crying.
It's
It's
so
so good.
so good.
It's so me to a T, and the fact that it combines, like, all the
The
emotions
Whole
with the
Foods part.
glam
Yeah.
in the whole I know, right? How does it know this?
I mean, it's we put everything online.
I guess, like, God, drinking a green juice, like, what, crying into my cup, basically, like, that it could not be
So
more
good.
true.
It's so good.
The angels that were Pilates instructors.
Disguised as Pilates.
Oh my God, that just made me laugh so hard. I
I
needed
mean, I
that
could have spent a
today.
year and not written something good. You know
No,
what I mean? Like,
exactly. That's why I was like, "What are you talking about? We're writing this ourselves. We're putting this shit in the chat."
so good.
God, that was so good. I'm trying to collect my thoughts because it was so perfect. So basically, like, moral of the story is if you guys want to laugh about any hardships in your life, put them into Chat GPT and have it write a movie trailer about it. It'll bring it all into perspective of like, it ain't always that serious.
It's not that serious.
Oh my God. Well, and I said to you before the podcast, I never want any of the stuff that we talk about on the Friday episodes to dumb down what we talked about on the Wednesday episode. And while Lauren and I did I think we found a pretty like lighthearted ending. Some of that stuff was hard to talk about. You know, it's addiction. I've always talked about the fact that I come from an alcoholic family background. And so I really related to a lot of the stuff. Thankfully, my parents are alive and well, and I didn't go through what she went through, but I just appreciate her telling the story so much, and I never wanna dumb down that that was such a traumatic experience. I actually think she would love this, though.
Yeah.
She loves to find we talked about ways
You
to
have
find
to find
joy.
you have to
Well,
like
hers is dancing. That's what she dances on the sidelines, and now, like, these videos on TikTok of her have gone viral of her doing they call it the sideline shimmy. So, I really think she would appreciate the movie trailers. Maybe I'll text them too. But anyway, that was really fun, I thought,
that was
actually. We
fun.
might need to
Yeah.
do some more of those via Chat GPT.
I'm like, I don't know if I can take chat's like snarkiness that
I
hard.
know, it's kinda
Like
like
a little bit.
I know, like he's all offended.
Standing by the dating pool. Like what I mean, that is like such a visual reference to like an actual pool.
Wait, what
Like
did it
standing
say?
it says
Standing
he's
by a dating
standing by the dating pool wondering why, blah blah blah. And some people want to get married after the second date.
Well,
But
right,
it's
but,
like what kind of like
why
place
someone's either
made
emotionally
physical
and
and by a pool? You know what I mean? It's so visual.
it
It's
is, but it's
poetry.
also so what you've talked about as
I
far as dating,
know.
like, that you either find someone very emotionally unavailable or someone who wants to get married on the second date, like, could not be more true of your story. which is why it's crazy and wild. I loved, the part about how you were analyzing text messages like they were ancient scrolls.
And it's true.
Oh my god, that was so fun. Well, if you guys wanna do that, please report back to us with how your movie trailer went and if ChatGPT nailed you like it just nailed Chip and I. I'm glad we can laugh at ourselves, but I think
Yeah.
mine is the funniest thing I've ever heard, actually.
She's legit crying. You'll see it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I am. Still wiping tears. If you do it, please email us. I have to know about it. Even you can email us at theedge@velvetsedge.com. You can also hit me up on Instagram. I am at Velvet's Edge. Chip.
I'm at Chip Dorsch. It's ChipDorsch.
And as you guys go into the weekend and you're living on the edge, I hope you always remember to
And catch. Bye.
bye.